Welcome back to the kind of OP show, guys. I'm Jeff.
I'm Chris.
Um, this week we kind of had a lot of stuff going on. We have a lot to go over. But what's going on with you lately?
Nothing much. So lately, what I've been playing, just to talk about a few games that we've been playing recently. Lego Batman's come out. Super fun game.
Mm-hmm.
The open world is amazing. You haven't had a chance to play it yet.
No.
I've already platinumed the game, and it's only been out for a few weeks. Yeah, it's amazing. Like everything you would want from a Lego game, everything that you would want from a Batman game, it's all in one. The story, I love how they do the story because they're trying to intertwine all the movies into one in one like flowing story, and it works so well. Only great, maybe the ending, the last mission kind of goes on a little bit longer than I would like, but that's what I've really been playing recently. My nephew, he really loves a game called Sifu. I don't know if a few of you guys played it, but I also really like that. The combat's cool, and the video game mechanic. I don't know if you know much about it, but every time you die, you age.
Right.
So the older you get, I think like the harder you punch and stuff because you're more well seasoned, but the more fragile you might get as well. So I'm still at the beginning of it, so still kind of delving into that. But yeah, that's what I've been up to. Usually, you been playing anything new?
Yeah. So I recently got Dragon Quest VII reimagined. I haven't got too far into it. I will say I remember playing the original, but I remember it being very drawn out. I don't think there was any battles for like at least an hour or something. They seem to have fixed that with this one. It looks amazing on the Switch too. So I'm looking forward to put more time into that. And me and my wife recently started playing Mixtape. If you haven't played this game, if you're big into nostalgia like I am, this is definitely an amazing game. We haven't beat it yet. We're a few hours in. It's about 3 high school kids. It's the end of the year. They're seniors. They're going away. One of them is moving to New York, I think. The other two are kind of staying in this small town. And they're trying to make it to this end of the year party, some huge beach party. But as you go through, there is music, it's music by real live bands from the past, and each song takes you through one of their memories as they were going through the school year, and it really just takes you back to when you were a teenager and you were going through that stuff in school, doing crazy stuff with your friends. There's one level where you're pushing each other around in the shopping cart, and you got to like steer around and things like that. But yeah, super kind of emotional game.
And all that kind of happens in like a day, right?
So, yeah.
So I'm assuming, I know you said you're only 3 hours in, but it doesn't seem like it's a super long game.
No, I based on the progress we've made and the time that we've made it, I'm assuming it's probably like 7 or 8 hours, maybe.
That could be like a good weekend game or
something. Yeah. Something just to knock out if you're looking for something.
Sweet. Awesome.
Yeah. That's all for that. I do think that the next bit of information we're going to bring up is kind of, troubling to a lot of people.
Gamers especially.
Yeah. So by the time you guys watch this and we get this edited and put out, it won't be brand new news to you. We've been taking a few days to kind of, sit back and dwell on it and think about it and have side conversations to kind of prepare for this. It is the announcement of Sony no longer making physical discs for games.
Starting January 2028.
Yeah. So I'll just go on a quick little rant. And then, I feel like it hit me pretty emotionally. I know you as a collector, you're kind of like the big collector. So, it's kind of definitely affected you as well. But when I first heard it, the first thing I could think about was going to Blockbuster as a kid, looking at the wall, picking the game up, getting the game. All of those things went away. We no longer have video rental places. Everything is, technology is advancing and it's kind of eliminating some of the things that we as gamers or any type of hobbyist were kind of being affected by it. So it's hey, you now have an option to download digital games, and some people think that's cool. You can get it at midnight. You don't have to wait for the store to open. I will say that this is just, to me, it's tragic. I have so many memories of pre-ordering games, waiting in line to pick them up. It's a part of like the journey of being a gamer and playing the game. It adds, added memories to the game. There's games you and I have waited in line for, and we
Yeah.
always have those stories pertaining to these games and stuff like that. And it's just, it's one of those things where it's like, there are a lot of newer gamers, I feel, that are really into the digital stuff. It's convenient. A lot of people's
Yeah.
lives are driven by convenience now. So as technology advances, you don't have to go to the store anymore. You can order it from your phone, and people like that. And like now it's going into a realm where it's, I think, personally affecting me more than anything. And it's not about convenience, because this is the one thing that I wouldn't mind going to the store for. Like if I
Yeah.
want a pizza, maybe I don't want to go get a pizza. I'll get it delivered. But I always want to go buy a game. I want to go look at the game, the cover art, the back of the game, looking at it. So when I go to the store, I don't know about you, but when I go to the store, Target or Walmart or anywhere, even if I'm not buying anything, I'm always making that stop off just to look around, just to look at games I've seen a million times, just because that's kind of my realm. Video games is what we do. So it's kind of just a detour we take as we're going through to get what we really need and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, it hit me emotionally, but like, you're a much bigger collector as far as like having the media. So if you want to give your input.
Yeah, I mean, it's just there's so many things to talk about with this. I mean, we've talked about it a little bit off camera. We couldn't help it. It's just a big impact to us as gamers, and there's so many layers. Like, if you can no longer get physical games, like talking about family households, and like maybe you have a struggling family who buys used games on occasions. You no longer have physical things to turn in as used. Maybe
Yeah.
you need some extra cash, and it gets to those tough times and you need to trade something in. And then what does that do to the stores themselves? After 2028, if Sony no longer has physical media, do the other companies like Microsoft and Nintendo follow suit? And
Yeah.
then what does that do with the video game section? And if there's no more video game sections in stores, where do you buy your consoles at now? And one of the big things I brought up to you, I would understand if there was some compromise of, hey, no more physical media, but now our games are going to be $20 less going
Yeah.
forward on digital. We haven't seen any news on that, so it just seems like it's a win-win for Sony itself.
Yeah.
Luckily, I've seen a lot of positive pushback from other companies, kind of, taking jabs at Sony for doing this. And, you know, uh, so hopefully the other companies aren't going to follow suit and do all digital. I know we were scared with Nintendo and the game key cards and everything, and everybody was getting on them, but Sony just
Yeah.
took it one step further.
The
And yeah,
game, the
just
game key card, it holds the license in the game, so like it doesn't completely take it out of rotation. Whereas now, you won't even
yeah.
have the option.
Yep. And like you're
Um,
saying, collector's editions. I'll admit I spent a few extra dollars getting a collector's edition, but does all that go away now too? Or do they still do the collector's edition, just no game? So then,
yeah,
it really it's a hit to all gamers. And yeah, it's we'll see where it goes. Hopefully maybe they put us first, because even their slogan, gaming has no limits.
yeah,
Now you are limiting us with only digital.
yeah,
So, where do we go from there?
yeah. I also, their reasoning just doesn't sit right with me either. It's you know this is the direction we're going. Only, I have the notes here, only 3% of PlayStation software is physical copies. I don't know. I don't know what the numbers are. When we seen the GTA announcement, um, and they announced that, hey, there's going to be no physical copy. Everybody
Yep.
kind of was like, is this the writing on the wall? And they didn't wait many days after before they're like, all right, maybe this is a tester to see how they react. Now we're going to drop the bomb.
Yeah.
And really, there was a point in time where I do remember some of these companies saying, we're going to make this a cheaper option. If you want to buy the game digitally, you will save money. And that hasn't been the case at all. Unless there are times where, store sales don't match like online sales. So if there's a holiday sale in the PlayStation shop and you can get Red Dead Redemption 2 for $10, it's not going to be that much at the store. But so there are some situations where I have bought digital games. There are also some games for the Switch that I just don't know when I'm going to play them. Mario Party. I don't want to take games out to play a party game with a bunch of people. That's something that I can leave on there and we'll just play it. But, it's one of those things where like you're okay doing things until you're forced to do things. And that's kind of where it is. It's like we don't have an option. There is no like consumer rights when it comes to this. Like we should have the right to buy this, or I don't know if I'm making this up in my mind. I'd have to double back, but I clearly remember Sony taking jabs at maybe Microsoft and saying like, this is how we, let people borrow games or something, and they like hand over the physical copy. It was a huge shock, and I think that for the people that it really affects, it's really affecting them emotionally. Like I've seen some of like fellow YouTubers and TikTokers like almost in tears over this, because I've heard people say, I'm not buying PS6. I'm boycotting it. You're not going to force me to do this. I'm not just buying your machine and not being able to buy your software. They're forcing us to, especially if it's $1,000. So you're going to sell me a console for, and we don't know that's the price. We're assuming based on inflation and based on rumors. But
PS5 Pro currently is at $900.
Yeah. So
and the systems only go up and up.
Yeah. So the digital copies or digital versions of consoles are always relatively cheaper.
Yeah.
We don't have anything to base that off of now.
Yeah.
Does that mean that if it is $1,000, if there was a disc version, that it would be $1,200? Like, we don't know that. They are saving money by printing these discs and these cases and all of this stuff. They're saving money on that, but they're charging more money for the stuff they have. And it's one of those things where it's like, at what point do we say, we brought this up in a previous video, like at what point do we stand up and say, you know what? I don't know about you, but there's probably tens of thousands of games that I want to play that I haven't played. Like I can play,
And that's the reassuring thing for gamers. Like, it's a big shock, and I know everybody wants the new, up-to-date stuff. The new games are coming out. I got to get the new game. I'm kind of leaning towards the mindset, if this is how we're going and I can't own my games, there's so many on the back burner that I haven't even played yet, haven't bought yet, probably franchises I haven't dove into yet.
Yeah.
I will have that keep me entertained for the near future, and it still makes me a gamer.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, at some point, we are the consumers. It's going to be in our hands. If we all came together and decided, hey, this isn't for us, and they lose money, there's no doubt in my mind they would make it somehow work and probably do discs again.
Yeah.
And going off your point, there's been times where I brought it up. Alan Wake 2, a good example, only came out digital first. I bought it, loved the game, couldn't wait for it to come out on physical to add to my collection. So there are gamers out there that will buy the same game numerous times.
Yeah.
Digital download, that's one sale for you. But you have gamers out there that might do 2 or 3. I know some people who bought Skyrim 20 times because this came out on 20 different consoles already. So you get rid of discs, you eliminate that purchase also. So
yeah, and we also kind of see this with certain games that get announced that, whether it's a Nintendo Direct or, a Sony announcement, or it's Summer Game Fest or something. At the end of it, they'll say available today digital, available in the future physical.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's a test to kind of see how many people are really going to buy this game. And if 60% of our audience buys it on digital when it drops, maybe it's not about the physical thing. It's just, that's just how they're getting it. we can just I can assume, we could talk about this for hours, but I really just I don't think they're going to double back. I don't see a situation where they're like, you know what, we messed up. We'll go back on this. I feel like their mind is made up. There are probably financial charts that are showing them how this is going to save them money in one area and make them more money in another. I do not expect Xbox to take much longer before they do the same thing. Um, Nintendo, I said this to you yesterday. I know the key card thing is kind of a weird step and a sidestep in a different direction, but I truly do feel that hopefully Nintendo can hold on for a little bit longer and kind of, keep their fans in mind. And
Yeah, and like you said, like I think with each company, you kind of saw them taking baby steps. Microsoft, even with the Game Pass, kind of eliminates the need to have physical copies.
Yep.
But like you said, now that we're being forced to go completely digital, I think that's where people start feeling that pressure and doesn't really want to coincide with that, especially collectors. So,
yeah,
but we just wait and see. There's still 2 years, year and a half out to fully making that decision. So, I see petitions going around already. So just do what you need to do as gamers to keep on gaming the way that you want to game, not the
Yep.
way that they force you to game.
Right. So enough of the negative stuff.
Yep.
Let's jump into something a little more positive. We have kind of a video game shout out section that we want to start doing where we find a game from our collection. We show the physical copy while we have it.
Yep.
And we just talk a little bit about it. So did you want to go first?
Yeah. So my video game shout out this week, I chose to do BioShock, the collector's edition or whatnot, all 3 games. Just going with the physical media type of thing. This case I think looks amazing.
Yep.
If you played the BioShocks, you know about the light tower, you know about the city underneath the water, you know about the city in the sky.
Yep.
So, BioShock is an amazing game that we both grew up on. If you haven't played it yet, it's just incredible. Combat, story. I know everybody has their favorites. This is one of those games where some people might argue the third was the favorite, the second was my favorite. So it's just a game that stands the test of time too, with the way it was created and the visuals. It's a very kind of like a cartoonish kind of looking way, not really realistic graphics, kind of like a Last of Us and stuff. So, I think it holds up through the years. So if you like cool games like that, check it out. Yep. Your video game shout out?
Mine is Gears of War Reloaded. This game is a remake of the original. And I haven't played the original in a long time, but it really, in my mind, it doesn't look any different. It looks as great as it has the first time I played it. Me and my wife started this. We didn't beat it. We got a few hours in, but it's a lot of fun. The co-op, the funny one-liners they say to each other, like the cast of characters as you meet them in this game for the first time is just like it's amazing. The weapons in this game, everything about this game. I don't know many people who don't like Gears of War. And like I said, this was one of those remasters where it was a no-brainer. I had to pick it up. The case looks amazing. It's got, it's got the whole team. It's got the city burning in the back. Just a great game. Those of you who have played it know. Those of you who haven't, you should definitely get on board and check this out.
Yeah. Great game growing up with. So.
Yeah.
All right, going into our next little topic, we want to talk about the game shows and everything that happened, starting with Nintendo Direct.
Yep.
One of the first things that we kind of want to talk about is Dust Bloods. There's still not a whole lot of information on it, but me being the Souls guy and loving all those games, I'm a little weary of it right now, just because I think they are featuring it as like a multiplayer type of thing, and I really like my single player games. I didn't play Night Rain just because growing up you lose kind of those gaming groups that you were a part of, and we don't get on Destiny like we used to back in the day. So I'm really looking more for single player games, and I've really been yearning for another Souls-like or FromSoft game, but the last one was Night Rain and now Dustblood, so I might have to wait or hear more about it. But yeah, they just showed a little bit more on the game, so we thought that looked pretty cool.
Yep.
Yep.
Something I noticed from the Nintendo Direct that kind of got my attention as someone who's put probably close to 300 hours in this game now. There is a Pokemon Pocopia DLC. Kind of similar with how they've done the DLCs with the past Pokemon games. You buy the bundle, and it's multiple DLCs. You get one when it first drops, then there's another one at a later date. This one adds some pretty cool features. You can build underwater now, which adds kind of a bunch of new elements.
Did we kind of call that out earlier because there was so much water? We're like, just wait until a DLC drops. And
Yeah. We kind of talked about there's got to be more with the water. This game is definitely one of those games where, you know, there's over 1,000 Pokemon now. There's only 300 in this game. So if you drop 5 on every DLC, we could go forever. And that's not counting, you know, future Pokemon games dropping new Pokemon. So that was pretty exciting for me. I know a lot of other people are kind of like want to wait and see. They kind of did some weird thing where they're like out now.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm glad I hesitated a little bit because, you know, it was just that you could buy it. It wasn't ready to play. So there was a little bit of back and forth with that. The next thing that kind of was announced that we've seen 100,000 times is Kingdom Hearts. What do you think about seeing that again for the millionth time?
Yeah, so again, luckily for, like we were talking about with games on the back burner, I haven't finished Kingdom Hearts 3. So, but the story is so kind of confusing at this point.
Oh, wait till you
I've
finish
seen
3.
the trailer and I'm like, I don't know what's going on really.
Wait until you play 3.
Yeah, but it looks amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, it always looks amazing. You know, it's one of those games just like a Final Fantasy. When it comes on, you instantly get that smile on your face.
Yeah.
There's some characters that look interesting that I think is callback to games that I don't even think you've played that was like on mobile or something.
Yeah.
Called like Crossroads or something like that. But seeing Sora, seeing the gang again, you know, I'm all for it. Surprising that they released it during Nintendo, right?
Yeah, especially when we go from that immediately into a super crazy video of a city scene where you see people jumping around, you see some keyblades, and you're kind of wondering what's going on. And I don't know how this happened or who made this decision, but they dropped Kingdom Hearts 4 trailer in a Nintendo Direct.
Yeah.
Took me completely by surprise.
Yep. Yeah. And before that, they had the collection shown.
Yeah.
So I think everybody, I've seen so many videos where people watch, like, give us Kingdom Hearts, and then the collection showing, like, come on, where's number 4? And they walk away, and then, babe, it's on the TV, look at number 4, and they come rushing back in.
Yeah.
I mean, being at a Nintendo event, that was very shocking, but I'm just glad we have some information.
Yep.
Still no release date, but I do think it said available on all platforms when it does release, though, right?
Yeah,
so,
which makes me happy because I won't be buying it on the Switch 2, but it's good to see a lot of these consoles that are primarily on other systems that are now getting ported over being released all on the same day instead of Nintendo having to wait or Xbox having to wait. It's kind of like a day one kind of thing where it does seem like everybody's kind of getting along. A little bit of good news in the mix of all the craziness with price increases and stuff like that. So,
and I did see a PS5 release. So maybe we can assume it's coming out before 2028.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Just before we jump off of the Nintendo Direct, there were rumors about this, a lot of rumors about this. There were people who were calling this out for months and months. Zelda had an anniversary coming up. They were going to do something huge. Everybody who knows me or watched previous shows and seen our rankings and our ratings and influential games and best games on different consoles, they know how I feel about this game. Ocarina of Time.
Yeah.
The remake. When they first started showing things, you didn't quite give it away, and then you hear those 3 notes.
Yeah.
I get chills talking about it right now. You hear those 3 notes, and then you scoot up in your chair a little bit, and you're like, all right. And then they start talking some more, and then you hear 3 more notes, and you're like, this is it.
Yep.
And then they zoom to the opening scene um,
Just
of the original, laying
Yep.
on the floor, and
I was hoping we would hear a hey,
yeah,
but we didn't get that far.
we didn't get much. This is probably, other than Final Fantasy VII, this is probably the greatest remake of my lifetime for me personally.
Yeah.
If anybody would have asked me what game would you like to have had remade, I would have picked this one 100 times. It's one of those things where they can do so much. I don't want them to muddle it and be like, hey, remember Breath of the Wild? We can do stuff like that. I want this to be a direct remake. I want everything to be the same and just look better. I really don't want this to be the best news ever and turn into some pretty shitty news by changing up too much.
And that's what I was going to touch on a little bit as far as like, how much do you want them to change? Because the story itself is probably one of the best stories in video games of all time.
Yep.
Like, I know back then, any gamer now coming up would probably play it back then and might think, oh, this is a little dated. But back then it was like revolutionary. Like, oh man, look at these graphics. Look at, the controls and everything. So if they can just do updated graphics, leave the story alone. I know
non-breakable weapons.
Yep, non-breakable weapons. Just give me one sword that just lasts forever. I know a few people were hinting at seeing Link in his bed, not with everything on, like his shoes or the tunic, which you originally saw. So some people are hinting at, oh, maybe there are customizable things, which stuff I wouldn't be opposed of. That's fine, because you could always change the clothing and stuff. But yeah, I mean, honestly, there's not much that you need to change with this game.
Yep.
So, and release date.
Yeah. That was in my initial shock of them announcing the game. My initial shock was like, hey, we're announcing this game halfway through 2026 and you're going to get it in 2026.
Yep.
I don't know when that's going to drop. We all know that there's a juggernaut that's dropping in November.
Yeah.
And I honestly feel like that is kind of like a red zone for a lot of companies where it's like, hey, when do you want to drop this? And it's like, they're probably like, I'd rather drop it early 27 than to drop it anywhere near GTA.
Yeah. And when you think about Ocarina, you don't really think of like a festive game, but with you talking about that, the only time frame I can see is probably December then.
It'll be a holiday. It'll be their big holiday release. It'll drop. They may do. We haven't seen any alternate Switch 2 consoles. They did a lot with the Pokemon and things like that. This may be their opportunity. I've seen some AI leaks that look amazing. They probably wouldn't go as far as some of the images I've seen, but this may be their opportunity to. I'm holding out on getting extra Joy-Cons only because I know there's going to be that one that I really, really need. And luckily you have one too, so I don't need extras. I'm just waiting for that epic one to drop, and maybe this would be it.
But yeah, so that pretty much rounds out, Nintendo Direct. I think it was a pretty solid Direct. Some heavy hitters.
It might be one of the best. Yeah.
Yep. They're still leaving us wanting more with Kingdom Hearts always. Dust Bloods. So with that being said, you want to jump into Summer Game Fest a little?
Yeah. So this is one of those things where for me it's always kind of hit or miss. They announce things they've already announced and they just show a little bit more. This year they kind of jumped in and really kind of dug a little bit deeper on some of the things that I wasn't really expecting. A lot of stuff I don't really know about. And then some things that I'm really glad that they put out there.
Yep.
So did you want to start with?
So one that really caught my eye, I played the first game for quite a few hours. I never beat it. I actually re-downloaded it a few days ago, so I plan on actually getting through it. But Alien Isolation, they announced the second one. I know you don't know too much about the first one.
Yep.
So the first one in the campaign, you're actually playing as Ripley's daughter.
Okay.
And they announced like, hey, we think we found your mother, so you go check out a ship. Obviously there's a xenomorph on there roaming around, and it is probably one of the best first person like creeping around type of game that I played ever. You know, especially when they allowed the whole like noise as a factor. I remember there was a scene where, I said, oh crap or something at first on the headphones, and that alien got me so quick. So I'm interested to go back there, beat that. The second one looks even cooler. You know, you're on a planet this time, so a lot more stuff to happen. But yeah, that's pretty much that for Alien. You want to talk about Persona a little bit?
Yeah, so Persona is something that's very interesting to me. I have many friends who love the series. I tried playing the first one a long time ago. I couldn't get into it. My tastes have changed. I've kind of grown and developed. If there's anybody out there that can try to give me some words and persuade me to jump into this and stay in, please do that in the comments. I want to love this game. I hear people's stories and what they say about this, and I really want to get into this. Um, the sixth installment is probably not a good place to want to reel me in. Um, but it's something that when I see the reaction online, it's not as big as like the Souls games, but there is a fan base for Persona that's like, I want to be in with those guys. Like I want to do that too. I want to be happy about this too. So yeah, so that's something that was announced, got kind of a lot of buzz.
What's your biggest turnoff for that? Because I kind of know about the story a little bit too, and I think my biggest turnoff is like, oh, I'm a kid going to school and I can do all these regular day activities, and I'm like, I kind of don't have time for that, especially in my
Yeah,
own real world doing
right,
regular
right.
day. The
Yeah,
action and stuff looks always cool.
yeah, it's that other stuff that really slowed me down. And I just kind
Yeah,
of was like, man, when I played it, I didn't know it was going to get this big. And I thought it was like one of those games where there are a lot of games and I still respect them and appreciate them, but they have a very specific audience. And I
yeah,
thought this
yeah.
was one of them. But as I'm, continuing through life, I'm finding out that the fan base may be more than just that. So hopefully I can jump into these and we can in the future talk more about my adventures of trying to get caught up and play through all these.
Yeah, man.
Yep.
Uh, that being said, there was also a pretty cool looking game called 1666. Um, it looks really cool. It kind of gives you that Assassin's Creed vibe a little bit, which makes sense because I believe the creator of this was also working with Ubisoft, and then he left, and then Ubisoft was kind of tangling up him releasing this game for so long, but now it's finally out there, and it's all about like the witch trials and like you're a witch and like you're hunting down all these guys and
Oh,
there's
that's cool.
cats. You know, him and his wife love kind of the Halloween setting, so I thought this would be a great game for him to dive into. But don't know too much about it yet. But the trailer looks really cool, really amazing, especially when it dives into like the creepier stuff. Because at first it's just a lady walking down the street, and you're like, oh, what is this? And then dark stuff comes out of nowhere. And you're like,
Yeah.
oh, this is getting intense.
Yeah.
So that's another one to look out for you guys.
Yep. Jumping into the next game, Resident Evil Code Veronica.
Yeah,
A lot of people have this up there with their favorite Resident Evils. I played it. I don't remember if I beat it. It was so long ago.
the
I
hardest one too, right? That's
Yeah,
what I hear a lot.
I haven't played really many Resident Evils that I don't like. Um, this one looks amazing, and again, Resident Evils are always great when they're remade. It'll be good to get back in here and kind of play something new. We just got spoiled with Requiem, and then we
Yeah.
get this dropped. So it's kind of like a really good year or a good time of the year to kind of get this going. Um, I'm still in my second playthrough of Requiem, so get that taken care of, and then definitely excited for this when it drops.
Yeah, Code Veronica. It's another one I had never played. I've been seeing clips, just funny clips of like a dolphin noise that a guy makes.
Yeah,
So like,
yeah,
I'm sure diehard fans are like eager to see if they keep a lot of those in this game, those decisions and everything, which would
yeah.
be interesting. But yeah, like you said, like Resident Evil is more hit than this,
Yep.
and I've only ever heard good things about this. I've heard this is also like one of the hardest ones that everybody's played.
Yep.
But back then it was a little bit probably harder to play those type of games also. So,
Yep.
but definitely looking forward to that.
Yep.
Yeah. So Code Veronica, all that. Going into probably the biggest announcement for everybody.
or at least for us.
Yeah, the third installment of Final Fantasy VII,
Yep.
Revelations. How you feel about that title?
I was really pulling for the name to be Reunion. I knew
Yeah.
they were going to go with the kind of RE beginning with remake and rebirth and
Yeah,
like I
yeah.
really wanted that Revelation. I don't know if it actually has a meaning, if it's going to contribute to something, or if it's just, hey, this sounds cool, let's throw it out there.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of like story elements that everybody's kind of confused about. That it happened in the original of like what's kind of going on here
Yeah,
towards the end of the game with Cloud and his story.
yeah,
And I think you do it again with the new installment with like the shadows or
yeah,
the people in there.
yeah,
So you're
yeah,
kind of like,
yeah,
what's going on here? So Revelations, hopefully they clear up everything. But just going from gameplay wise, it looks amazing. It kind of looks like the second one opened up the open world kinda, and now
yeah,
this one's opening it up even more.
yeah.
So
I I mean, you know this. I've talked about it before. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is probably the most fun I've had playing a game in as long as I can remember. I couldn't put it down. When I wasn't playing it, I was thinking about playing it. I didn't platinum it. I beat it. I put a lot of hours in just exploring and running around, and um, I definitely have a soft spot for this. Aside from it being my favorite game of all time, the original, our brother David,
yeah,
who's not with us anymore, he was a huge fan of the first one. Knew the second one was coming out, was super amped for it. Unfortunately, like he never got to play the second one, so playing through that was very hard. I don't imagine this one being any easier. It's just one of those things where it kind of reminds us of him. So looking forward to that. We still share the trailers to his
yeah,
his Facebook page when they drop and things like that. So it's one of those things where it's super bittersweet. It's my favorite game. It's the remakes are amazing. They're dropping the third one now. It's gonna be hard knowing it's the last of the three.
yeah,
So it's just gonna be super emotional all the way through. And you
yeah. And
know,
you get that out of you get emotions. That's why video games are such tied to you personally.
yeah,
Especially when you lose loved ones and they were so excited about the same stuff that you're excited about.
yeah,
Seeing Vincent in the trailers, I know he would have been pumped about that.
yeah,
We're pumped about that.
yeah,
So yeah, it's bittersweet, but again, for the video game people and fellow gamers, it's an amazing time, and Final Fantasy hopefully gives people the same feeling we got 30 years down the road,
yeah,
when we played it for the first time, if they're only playing the remakes,
yeah.
but yeah, can't wait for that.
Yeah. So next, I just want to jump into just a few games that are kind of in the next couple months. Going to be dropping that we didn't talk about much here. They didn't announce much through the shows that we talked about. So coming up next week is Assassin's Creed Black Flag, which
Yeah.
again I've never played in the Assassin's Creed. That's your wheelhouse, so I'll let you kind of talk about that for a minute before we jump into the next one.
Yeah, man, I can't tell you how many Assassin's Creed fans I know that would die on the hill of saying Black Flag's probably their favorite. It is literally, if you don't even like the Assassin's Creed game, just imagine it as a pirate game. You got sea shanties that you can sing on the ship, underwater adventures. The water looked great in the original, so seeing this trailer with enhanced graphics and they're adding new story missions and everything to this, I'm super pumped. Already had it pre-ordered to get my physical copy. Jab at Sony there. But yeah, I can't wait. It comes out Thursday. I'll definitely be playing it. I can definitely give a pre or mid review, or if I beat it as quickly as I did Lego Batman, I can tell you everything about it. So
Yep.
yeah, I'm super excited for Black Flag.
After that, a couple weeks later would be Halo
Yep. Yeah.
Campaign Evolved. That drops on July 28th.
Yeah.
Um, Halo, you can't go wrong. I don't
No.
think we've played a bad one. Um, we've been fans since the very beginning. Nothing changes with that. I think that we'll both probably do our best to make sure we have this and we can play it together and kind of, you know, push through again.
Yeah, but it's such a good starting point for fans that never played these series. If you always seen Assassin's Creed and you wanted to get into it, here's a remake. If you wanted to play Halo and maybe you've always been a diehard PlayStation fan. Now here's your chance because that's the biggest draw. It's coming out on PlayStation, and it looks great. So a new game that's not a remake that's coming out on September 24th is Silent Hill Townfall.
Yep.
Now, from what I've heard so far, this has a lot of the same mechanics as like an Alien Isolation that I've heard. Like it's more sneaking around. It's I haven't heard so much about like action forward, but graphics wise, it just looks amazing.
Yep.
Just like every Silent Hill that's coming out recently. Super excited for it. Can't wait. No, you're excited for it, and
Yep.
yeah, we'll have more on that in September.
Yeah. September 15th, Wolverine.
Yeah.
We'll touch more on that in a little bit, but that's something that this developer has not done us wrong yet.
Yeah.
With the Spider-Man stuff, we both love those games. Put many, many hours into those games. So seeing something else come through, we're definitely looking forward to that. And then of the stuff we have listed, October 6th, Gears. It's E-Day, I believe.
Yep.
That is something that I am kind of bothered about because I think it was rumored to be on multiple consoles.
Yeah.
I currently don't have an Xbox. I kind of picked a side, and it looks like this is going to be an Xbox exclusive. So hopefully in the future they can switch that around and we can, get to enjoy that as well. But yeah, that's in October.
Yep. And yeah, just touching on that. Yeah, I think at one point we heard, hey, now every game that's on Xbox will also be on PlayStation, and them not doing it. Maybe it'll come out later on and they'll share again. But yeah, my final game that I have is Control Resonant. That's the second Control game. I know you haven't played much of those, but I'm a huge Alan Wake fan, huge Control fan, and that game just looks incredible as well. I actually pre-ordered it today.
Yep.
So that also comes out on the same day as Silent Hill. So if you like spooky kind of weird games, you get 2 in 1. So there you go.
All right, so I think now we kind of both have 3 games listed that we just want to walk through and talk a little bit more about, that we're excited about, that we didn't really kind of go into. You want me to kick it off? You want to kick it off?
Well, yeah, that was the ones that I just did.
Oh, you did all 3 of yours already?
Yep.
Okay. So mine are Pokemon Winds and Waves. I know that's not coming out right now. It'll be out. We're going to be waiting. It says 2027. I pray that it's not holiday 2027. Usually Pokemon games, they're getting dropped in November for the most part.
Yeah.
I really don't feel like waiting over a year for this. It looks like they're doing everything right with it. The water in this game, thanks to the Switch 2, thanks to that they waited this long to try something like this, because the last couple games they just got beat down for the way that it looks.
Yeah.
So excited for that. Wolverine, just to touch a little bit more on that. These trailers are violent.
Yeah.
They're gory. They're not for the kids who really love the Spider-Man games and swinging around. This is Wolverine ripping people apart.
And I've heard rumors that if this game goes well, which I'm sure it will, because you get the fan base from the Spider-Man, this is kind of leading into a possible extension of the X-Men.
Yeah.
So you might get an X-Men game, or you get more. I think it's been confirmed that Jean's already in there helping you out. And I believe there was one more character. I can't think of it at the moment. Maybe Storm or something.
We're long overdue for an X-Men game.
Yeah.
Something that we can really actually play that's not a 1990s, 1980s side scroller.
Yeah.
And then this one, I may be wasting my time even bringing it up because I feel like the whole world is kind of waiting for this, GTA 6. I am one of those people. I've beat one of them. I've put a lot of hours in a lot of the other ones. But I'm also easily bored by these stories, and I will just go on violent rampages and just take over the city and play the game of, can I get this 5-star rating down? Vice City was my favorite one. It's the only one I'm that guy. Vice City is the only one I beat. This one is going back to Vice City. I'm excited. This is something that my wife is very, very excited for as well. She'll probably put way more time in this than me. She'll be way more focused while I'm putting in 10 hours and I've got 2 missions done. She's going to put in 10 hours and have probably 20 missions done.
Yeah,
But it's
personally, the Rockstar games I never fully got into. Last year, I think I delved more into Red Dead 2. I know you guys did as well. But I would probably be skipping this one day one. So you'll definitely need to take the steering wheel just as far as letting the people know if it was worth the 10-year wait, and all that. How do you feel so much about the rollout of this game? With the whole, you can get an empty case, but no game inside.
So look, as a collector, if this is the path that they want to take as far as like no physical disc, but you can still get a case, a lot of people just want something on their bookshelf. A lot of people just want something that they can look up and say, I bought that game. So I think that might soften the blow. I don't know if they're going to do that for all games. To be honest, that's probably what I'll do. I will go buy a case with a piece of paper inside, and then I will have that case to put in with my collection. But just the scope of this game, I don't want to spit out numbers because I don't have them right now, and when I looked them up, they weren't completely accurate. Pre-orders alone, this is probably, I think this is already the highest selling game of the year by a long shot, and it's only pre-orders. This is going to be probably one of the greatest software drops of my life. I think the world is going to shut down for a few minutes. I see funny things online where guys are making their wives sign contracts. I need to be left alone for a few days, or as a manager at my job, I have people already coming up to me saying, "Hey, I need off for this day. GTA's dropping. I need off a few days." I just feel like this is going to be. I really hope that it lives up to the hype, because I feel like it is going to be it's going to be good to see. It's going to be one of the biggest video game releases of our lifetimes.
Yeah, and just going off of past history, if you look up top selling video game console lists, I'm pretty sure GTA holds top 5 spots in almost multiple consoles, And also just going with, being gamers, we know rollouts can be tough and tricky sometimes. So, just take a breath and everything, because remembering the Cyberpunk rollout wasn't the greatest, and then eventually it came back and the developers was able to do a lot, and now it's held as one of the greatest games of all time. So, that's going to be a lot of downloads, a lot in one day. I wouldn't be surprised if, they crash the site and everything. However it happens. But yeah, just give it time.
I'm only approving 2 days off. So if it crashes for 2 days, don't come back asking for another 2 days off.
And if there's bugs and stuff, I'm pretty sure gamers are safe in the hands of Rockstar. They're going to fix it. They're going to make it work. They probably put so much money into it. It's not going to be a fail for anybody. So
they've got all that money from the past 20 years that everybody's been dumping it into this repeated, recycled online server. So they're good to go.
Yeah.
So I think just to finish this video out, kind of going with the theme of the way we started, we'll kind of end it the same way with, we're just gonna we've each handpicked 5 games that we just think have amazing physical covers on the game cases. Ones that, without doing a lot of research, we just kind of looked a little bit and thought of ones that we remember looking amazing. These aren't our 5 favorites. They're just 5 that we were like,
off the top of the head.
Let's go from the top of our brains and just drop 5.
Yep, and originally we had the same on each list, so then we had to kind of think of a few more. But that just shows how iconic certain covers can be. You ask any gamer, they might have a few of these games on there as well. Do you want to start with your first one, or you want me to?
So this is in no particular order. I'm going with Breath of the Wild, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. I remember, these Switch cases are small. They can't do as much as we can do with some bigger cases, but the image is amazing. It's Link. He's standing on the cliffside. You're overlooking the vast valley, all of this stuff that you can explore in the game. It just, when I first saw it, all I could think about is Zelda's previous covers are just logos. They stick with the gold, the logo with a sword and a shield or something like that.
You might get a horse on one.
Yeah, this is the first time that they were like, you know what, we're going to follow the trend of making these cases something to look at and not something to glance at. And they really like knocked this one out of the park. You can look in, you could be like, hey, I can go there. I've been there. Like, it's just, and from the opening scene where you kind of come out of that cave, to me, that's like a top 10 moment, like opening moment in any game I've ever played. Like you come out of the cave and you look over and it's just like, this is insane. This is a Nintendo game and it's this open world. And that's not even part of what you can explore. So I do feel like that was a really, really huge cover. I mean, Tears of the Kingdom kind of followed up a little bit with that, but yeah, I'm going to go with that one.
Yeah, it's great. That cover encompasses that game so well as far as your Link looking out into everything. It's the new open world style that they were doing. And like you said, after seeing that case and then actually doing the scene in the game, it just makes the case so much better because now every time you look at the case, you get a memory of that scene. So yeah, great pick. My first pick will be Final Fantasy X. Final Fantasy has to go on one of these lists. Titus being in the water with the sword. It's just such a beautiful cover. All Final Fantasies have great covers, but this one just really stuck with me. I remember being younger and you guys playing it before I even got into those games. And I remember seeing that cover and being like, whoa, what is this? Yeah. And, Titus as a character, such a cool design. Sword, such a cool design. I recommend, guys watching who haven't seen or played these games, take a second, Google the ones that we're talking about just to look at the image of the cover art because it's one of the best.
Yep. So my second one is Gears of War 2. This is an awesome cover. I mean, the first one was great. It had the whole team on it. This one's kind of similar. It's got Marcus Phoenix. He's holding like a fistful of cog tags. There's like chaos in the back. It explains the emotion and like what that game is all about. Like, I like games that when you look at the cover, you're like, I know what I'm getting myself into. Like it really shows you what the game is going to be. So yeah, I went with Gears 2 for that one.
Yeah, that's a great one. I remember that one as well. My number 2 is, I could have went the first or second one here. I went Kingdom Hearts 1. Such an iconic cover. Everybody on like the statues and everything just sitting there and like, the heart moon in the back. Such a beautiful cover. You turn the case over and it's just Sora's face right there. Yeah. Amazing cover. I still own my original copy to this day. Sometimes I would go take it out and like, oh man, that's great. And then I'll put it back. Something I wouldn't be able to do with digital. But yeah, it's just a beautiful cover all around. Kingdom Hearts always comes through with the covers. Yeah. And they definitely didn't miss with their first outing.
So, all I got to say about that one is that is one of the ones that I had to switch because it was on my list and on your list. Yep. So number 3, I am going to be very partial, as I am a lot of times, and say this is my favorite video game cover of all time, Final Fantasy VII. It's again, it's one of those things that really shows like the emotion of the game. It's Cloud. He's looking up. The Shinra building is there, and it just lets you know that after you've played it, like that is like the enemy. Like, that is what you're doing. That is the purpose of all of this. And it was simple, but I feel like it was very, very well done. Very nice cover.
It's so funny because when I think of like the base story of that game, if I had to tell it to somebody, dude with big sword takes on electric company.
Yeah.
And like the cover encompasses that too.
Yeah,
dude, big sword, electric company, but it's so much more than that.
Yeah.
With my third pick, I went not as far back, but Star Wars Force Unleashed. Such a great game. You play as Darth Vader's secret apprentice, which at the time we're huge Star Wars fans. We're like, he had a secret apprentice? What? But they can make stories about anything, so it shouldn't have been a big surprise. But it's literally him on the cover using his lightning on a bunch of stormtroopers that are getting pushed back, and it gets you so hyped for the game, buying it, seeing it. Like, I can't wait to do that in the game.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's my number third pick. Like, it's amazing.
Yeah, that is probably up there in my top games. And if they remade anything, that would be one of them.
Yeah,
I'll never forget the first time I approached one of those walkers and just balled it up into a ball with the force and launched it out of the room.
Yeah.
So my next one is the original Doom. This has been on T-shirts. This has been anywhere you could imagine. Posters, T-shirts, everywhere. It's Doom guy standing on a rock or a structure of some sort. All the monsters are trying to approach him, and he's just standing there blasting people away. It's super iconic. It's the oldest one that any of us are probably going to name. But it definitely was amazing. When I saw that, I was like, I can't wait to play this game and shoot all of these monsters. Like, I can't wait to play it. Yeah, so super iconic, super cool. Doom.
Again, another cover that gets you excited to do the actual action on the cover in the game.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
With my fourth pick, I've already talked about this game before in the pod, but just thinking of covers off the top of my head, Assassin's Creed 2. A lot of these covers have similar styles at the beginning, kind of like the main protagonist surrounded by a bunch of people, but it just looks so cool. The hood covering half of Ezio's face, him there in his armor with the blades coming out, and then the people around him. Just such a cool cover. Great game.
Yep.
Also get you excited for the story that's about to happen.
Yep. All right. So my final cover is BioShock 2. This was the Big Daddy with the little sister on his back, busting through almost. Games don't do this much anymore, or maybe at all, but they used to have the cardboard sleeve that went over the game that was basically a lenticular, like 3D version of the cover.
Yep. And
it was like him busting through the wall, and like you could feel that. It was super nice, and that was the game where you were the Big Daddy. So seeing that cover, you were like, wait a minute, like, what is going on here? And then you finally get into the game, and you're like, man, this is epic. Like, this is what I talked about doing when I played through BioShock 1.
I remember all of us talked about that.
Man, they should make a game where you can just be the Big Daddy the whole time. They should really do that. And then they came through. It was a lot of people's least favorite game of the three. I don't want to rank them. I don't have to.
Probably not the least favorite cover, though.
And I'm not going to. So, yeah.
Yeah, amazing cover. For my last one, I kind of went back to the PS2 days, and I chose Shadow of the Colossus.
Yep.
I want to put a note in there. I did have Breath of the Wild, but I had to change it because, this guy over here. But Shadow of the Colossus is just amazing. I think it's one of those games like Breath of the Wild where it shows the scale of things. You see the Colossus all the way in the background of the cover, and you're just like all the way in the front of the cover looking up at it, and you're like, whoa, what's this game about to be about?
Yep.
And then you play it, and it's also recaptures that with actually facing one of the Colossus for the first time.
Yep.
So it's just a great cover. I played the remake made by Blue Point a few years ago, and the remake is solid also. So if you've never played that game, check it out. Check out the covers. It's amazing.
Yeah, and maybe one time eventually we'll spend the time to kind of research and find our 5 or 10 actual favorites. Again, this was just off the top of our head. But yeah, that's all we got. So everybody just, we're noticing that the likes and the follows are going up, the views are going up. Please keep that up. Please, tell people about this page if you know people who like games, and just let them know to like, follow, subscribe, and hope you guys enjoy watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Yeah, see you guys.